learners. There are many variations of learning along the continuum of self-directed education. So keep that in mind as we discuss this style of learning. The essence of self-directed learning, sometimes called unschooling, builds upon the psychological needs for choice, connection, and competence. We all have these needs as human beings. The self-directed learner chooses and follows his own curiosities, sets her own goals, deciding how shallow or deep to dive. Self-directed learning is deeply rooted in meaningfulness and purpose, tapping into a child's intrinsic motivation. Parents serve as resource specialists, facilitators, guides, and curators, providing the necessary tools, technologies, mentors, peers, and knowledge bases. And that may be through games, songs, projects, or even more mainstream curriculum to help facilitate the process of following a student's interests. This philosophy builds on autonomy, and it's in direct opposition to coercive educational models where students have few choices. Parents often value free thinking and don't want their children to sit in a seat or be told what to do before learning can happen. Many families that follow this approach prefer a more developmental unfolding of skill development. For example, they may not introduce reading at a very early age if a child isn't interested. Self-directed learning may not unfold in accustomed timelines or topic areas. Even though it can be very different in terms of topics and timelines when compared to traditional education, there is still solid learning. It's a common belief in this philosophy that anything can be taught through everything. A child may pursue an interest and bring all other subject areas into that interest, but often families don't think about learning in the form of separate subject areas. Learning is everywhere, in everything. Families often work through school breaks because this philosophy is more of a lifestyle choice rather than simply a schooling choice. Some self-directed families even choose to learn while traveling domestically and abroad, focusing on culture and travel experience as the foundation for learning. Sometimes self-directed learning can appear disjointed or loosely structured, but when it's done well, there's actually careful precision in its iteration. Self-directed learning is not composed of random field trips and gaming all day, with the occasional workbook activity thrown in for good measure. There's nothing wrong with those activities when meaningfully orchestrated. But self-directed children benefit from clear context and building on prior knowledge with conscious intention. Most of us learn best with immediate, applicable feedback. We learn well through experience, and it's up to parents to make sure that happens. It's up to the adults to provide the conditions for knowledge frameworks to take root in our children's minds, to help make connections to what they already know, and to be an expert or find an expert to offer the needed input to progressively take children to the next step along their path, while also grasping what kids need to understand 3 steps down the line. Ideally, self-directed learners are not solo learners teaching themselves. That's not how we learn best. Many self-directed families seek out other like-minded families to create pods or co-op groups. Often these are comprised of mixed age groupings. In this philosophy, many believe that we can learn just as much from a peer or a younger child as an adult. We are all keepers of knowledge and understanding about the world. Unstructured playtime is often valued, including an appreciation for healthy risks. As I mentioned, some families use curriculum and others do not. If curriculum is used, children have entered into that freely because they find value in it. If you're thinking about this approach, know that you may benefit from building support structures around you, even more than traditional approaches, because you might be dancing on the edges, going against the grain of your own education and what friends and family believe, as well as the firmly seated societal view of school, and even perhaps in opposition to very skilled educators. Families that choose a self-directed option usually have a deep-seated belief that drives them in that direction. You'll want to find people that you can talk to, those that encourage you, and those that listen with open-minded curiosity. With self-directed learning, there is no one telling a kid what to do all day long. There's often no curriculum that has it all laid out. Kids don't naturally know how to best follow a curiosity to completion. They don't know how to set big goals, how to break those goals down into manageable, bite-sized chunks, and then make daily progress towards that vision. They don't automatically know the importance of focus or meaningful attention, nor how to get there to cultivate a consistent practice of deep work. Without that knowledge, kids will resort to trial and error, and that's just not typically a good use of time or resources. Yet all of those skills are teachable skills. Parents of a self-directed learner set that container and slowly guide children to build those capacities over time. When self-directed learning is successful, children not only get to pursue those things that excite them, but they get to learn how to learn. These kids know how to choose an interest, set a goal, break it down, and follow the steps to make it happen. When the learning gets challenging, they have the tools and the strategies to know what to do to keep moving forward. Daily reflection and debriefing is a big part of that. Parents and learning coaches are co-collaborators in that process, learning the skills and the strategies of optimal performance along the way to creating a life that's really meaningful, relevant, and highly motivating for their children. I'd love to hear from you. Does your child have an interest that they might want to pursue? Is there a curiosity that you can dive into and explore a little bit further?